Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the counselor's office. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor, and we are back with some more reactions for you. Today, we're reacting to some news that is kind of unfortunate for all gamers. Games Radar, the link will be down below for you, but this article is about publishers are absolutely terrified preserved video games would be used for recreational purposes. So the U.S. Copyright Office has struck down a major effort for game preservation. That's right. There was a lot of movement going on to preserve video games, to be able to ensure that even though you can no longer buy them, that they would be preserved, that we would have some kind of a record of games. Like, let's give an example. Let's say Pokemon. Let's say there was no longer any way to play any of the Pokemons. Game Boys, all those no longer exist. We live in the future. Now they're just relics of past. Think of it like digital archives, like a museum of sorts. Video game, the publishers, their excuse for not allowing this is because people would play the games instead of just using them, you know, to hold on to. That's it. Oh, you can't do that because you're going to play with it. I wish I was joking. All right, so we're going to get more into it, and then we can kind of discuss more. This fails the needs of citizens in favor of weak sauce argument from industry, and it's really disappointing. It is. A 3-year fight to help support game preservation has come to a sad end today. The U.S. Copyright Office has denied a request for a DMCA exemption that would allow libraries to remotely share digital access to preserved video games. For the past 3 years, the Video Game History Foundation has been supporting with the Software Preservation Network, SPN, on a petition to allow libraries and archives to remotely share digital access to out-of-print video games in their collection. VGF explains in a statement, under the current anti-circumvent rules in Section 1201 of the DMCA, libraries and archives are unable to break copyright protection on games in order to make them remotely accessible to researchers. Essentially, this exemption would open up the possibility of a digital library where historians and researchers could check out digital games that run through emulators. The VGHF argues that around 80% of all video games released in the US before 2010 are now out of print. And the only legal way to access those games is now through the occasional exorbitant prices and often failing hardware that defines the retro gaming market. I think this is very true. Like, if you want to play some classics, you have to spend $500 to $1,000 to even attempt to play it. Whereas what they're saying is, you know, if people, obviously this is intended not for, like, if I want to go and play a game, that's not what this is intended for. The argument was never, let's turn this into a digital blockbuster where you can rent out games. No, this was meant for research and historians, documentation. That's it. Think of it like a museum online, but you could check it out temporarily. And the argument from the publisher side is people would just take advantage and use it as a way to play leisurely, recreationally. And my counter argument to that is, you're not selling anything. It's one thing if I'm trying to, you know, check out Tears of the Kingdom, but the counter the point, like, I can't go back and play Pokemon Yellow without buying, like, and obviously emulators exist, but let's just, they don't like emulators. Remember, Nintendo doesn't like emulators. So let's live in the world that they want us to be in. Emulators don't exist or can't exist. So we've got these digital archives where I could go and play a game that is no longer for me to buy from Nintendo. I cannot give Nintendo my money to enjoy said game. Who's it hurting? But that's not even what the argument is here. The argument is this: it's for research and historic purposes. It's not for leisure. It's not for me to do it. But of course, publishers in general don't like the idea of it because they think people are going to abuse it. Like, no, you can't do that. You can't play old games that we're not financially making any money off. You can't do that. because we think you're going to play with it, even though you can't make any sales anyways off those games anymore, but you still can't use that. It's almost like video game publishers are against this because they know the classic games are better, that they're done better, they look and play and they're more fun than what we currently have. And they're like, no, we don't want people to look back and see how good things used to be. We want you to buy the new garbage that we're trying to sell you. That's right. We want you to buy Concord and all the rest of the garbage, Suicide Squad and all this other half-baked products. We want you to buy this and nothing in the no. You don't look backwards, look forward, okay? We're over, as Bungie once said, don't over deliver. And that's what they don't want you to look at the past, those games that used to be really fun. Like really fun. Yeah, no, we can't do that. You can't over deliver. That's the only thing I can think of. Why would they do that? It's because they don't want people to know how things used to be. Do I really think that's how it is? Probably not. And I'm sure there's a BS reason. But overall, I think it's really stupid. Like, it's not even saying for recreational use. That's not what it's for. It's not Blockbuster Online. This is literally just a digital archive. That's it. Still, the U.S. Copyright Office said no. The register concludes that proponents did not show that removing the single user limitation for preserved computer programs or permitting off-premises access to video games are likely to be non-infringing. I don't know how this is not going to be infringing. Like, they're not making money off these old games anyway, according to the final ruling. She also noted the greater risk of market harm with removing the video game exemption premise limitation, given the market for legacy video games. The market is literally, people are selling them as thousands of dollars. Like, I can't play the classic. Like, and here's another thing. I'm using Pokemon as an example because people, as we go and advance, 3D printing is becoming more refined. This has happened to me, by the way. I have ordered an original copy of Pokemon Soul Silver, and my first time buying it, I spent $30, and it was a fake. It was a fake cartridge. I put it in the game, and it was literally having me to go through the files of like a computer program, like it was a USB drive, to find it, and it was just like, what? But then I spent like $60 on an actual unopened copy. Thank God I still have that. But that's the crap you have to worry about. Is like, even if I wanted to buy it legit, there's no, like, people are making fake versions and make you charge the price for a fake one as if it was real. The ruling cites the belief of Entertainment Software Association and other industry lobbies groups that there would be a significant risk that preserved video games would be used for recreational purposes. We cannot, of course, entertain the notion that researchers enjoy their subjects for even a moment. More importantly, this also ignores the fact that the libraries already lend out digital versions of more traditional media like books and movies to everyday people for what they can only be described as recreational versions. I mean, that's also true. Like, literally, a library literally does that. And museums are, you think about it outside of it. Yes, people go to museums. What? To enjoy it for recreation. Even though it's not like I'm walking out with a T-Rex head, but I can enjoy it at least, right? Members of the VGHF are naturally unhappy with this decision. Unfortunately, lobbying efforts by rights holder groups continue to hold back progress. The group says in a statement noting that the ESA absolutes this position that it would not support a similar sort of copyright reform under any circumstances. I'm proud of the work we and orgs we partnered with did and tried to change copyright law. Whatever. We really gave it our all. I can't see what else we could have done. This fails the needs of citizens in favor of weak sauce argument from the industry, and it's really disappointing. You know what this tells me, ladies and gentlemen? I've already started doing it. I've already started downloading emulators for every Pokemon game ever created. I'm going to have it on a flash drive. That way I can download it into, there's like so many different things you can use on a phone. There's obviously the knockoff Game Boys you can get. You can download games onto it. That's exactly, for my future children, I want them to be experience some of the games that I did. You should right now, and as Nintendo is like the perfect example, that they're going out of their way to stop emulation. I mean, they've already successfully done some Switch emulation. That will probably pick up eventually in the future, but right now it's slowed down significantly. You need to download anything that you hold dear, that you want maybe you in the future to play with for your kids or family or whoever. Now's the time to do it yourself, right? If you want to be able to access games, you need to download. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be very honest. If there's a company that's not willing to give you a physical copy anymore, and you're able to pirate it, I say you buy it and then you pirate it. Get you a copy that no matter what they do, you still have access to play it. That's I will absolutely start pirating game that I buy. If I cannot guarantee I have physical access to it, I'm going to start pirating it to have a digital copy that I know I will always have access to. I mean, I've already done that for every Pokemon game because clearly, like, I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars on games. I've done it on other games that I have no access to anymore. I think we are going to see an increase. The more that game developers are anti-consumer and the more the government refuses to support the consumer, the more pirating will become a factor. And you know what? Morally, I don't condone stealing, but if you plan on buying something and you do buy it and they try to take it away, I think morally you are in the right to pirate it so that you keep your version of that game. Fuck the government. Fuck the million-dollar companies. Fuck them all. I purchased something, I deserve to keep it. And that's how I feel about that situation. Here, we're talking about stuff that's already antiquated, things that you can no longer buy from the company. It is one thing if the company wants to try to sell retro systems, which Nintendo has started doing a little bit. And you've got some retro games that they're bringing back, but at a snail's pace. By the time they like put all the old Pokemon games on like some kind of retro game, whatever it is, I'm going to be in my 50s or something. Like, I'm just telling you right now, if you spent money and you want to keep your product, pirate and download emulators and all that jazz. I will always give guidance for people out there. You are a consumer, you are number one. And if the gaming industry doesn't want to make you number one and they want to make their pocketbook number one, fuck them. And fuck the government. That's what I say. The government's supposed to be there for the citizens. And if they're not for the citizens, fuck them. Right. That's how I feel. I'm sorry. Like, I think the government does a lot of good things, but it also does a lot of bad things. And the moment it doesn't serve the people and the masses and it serves corporations, fuck them. That's a lot of F's. That's how I feel about this whole situation. It's so stupid. Video game preservation, like why is it such a bad thing to preserve video games that I don't want to spend $1,000 on just to be able to like touch it? So stupid. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below what you think. As you can tell, I'm a little fierce with this topic because there's no excuse for it. It just makes no sense. That's all I gotta say. All right, I'm rambling. I'm a rambling man. So I'm signing out. I think you guys hit the like button, comment down below, and let me know what you think down below. Until next time, game out.